everybody, it's time to LOL. Listen out loud, that is. It's time for Anime Jam Session with DJ Ranma S, Mako-chan, and Ari Rockefeller.
Hey everybody, welcome to Anime Jam Session, episode number 663. Is it? No, we're on episode 64. Yeah, episode 664. I'll have to change that in just a bit. That way there are no confusions or whatever. And, well, what do you know? People think we're on episode 663. You know, I actually forgot to set everything up last night because I fell asleep at my desk.
Whoops.
Well, I mean, I was out late for the Super Bowl and the post party, so I didn't realize it till I got into on my way home. I'm like, wait, did I do all the updates and all of that stuff? Did I? And I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
no. It always feels like that, right? When you're getting all prepped and everything.
Exactly, and it's like, wait, did I? And then I'm like, you know what? I will wait till 7 o'clock when the post goes up, and well, there was no post. I was like, oh. Crap. Let me go fix that real quick. Which is what I'm doing right now. Like I said, we are episode number 664. We are a podcast that talks about anime, games, conventions, the fandom, geek stuff, and everything in between. I'm DJ Ranma S.
And I'm Barry Mellon, mistress of dreams and nightmares.
Well, we also need a patron saint of cold and flu because most of the staff is under with the cold or the flu. Ari got tricked into working overtime. Koi is down with the count with a bad cold. Mako is down for the count with bronchitis, and that leaves the two of us.
And just don't touch the human realm right now. It is just a little ball of germs, and I just yeet.
Exactly. So you might want to put on some white gloves and triple layer them just to be on the safe side.
And always, as it has been shown to us in the history, mask up. You will greatly be appreciated by your chronically ill friends. I being one of those.
You know what it is? The only times nowadays I don't mask up if I'm around people who've already been vaccinated.
Yeah. If you've been vaccinated or if you're in your pod, right? Because, like, even for me, as a chronic illness bestie, I still have, like, a pod of people that I hang out with regularly enough that we all kind of know, you know, each other's schedules and habits and stuff like that. So they're not out there, like, licking light poles or, like, rails on the metro or something, you know? Like, I'm not worried about that happening.
So are we talking about A Christmas Story or the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think a mixture. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, the superb owl had no owls. Next year, I petition many more owls. Far too many eagles this year.
But it was a great bowl.
I heard it was really good. Yeah. I heard it was really good. I haven't watched the halftime show yet. I really want to go back and watch the halftime show. I don't know what I was doing, honestly. I think I was just trying to do VR stuff. But yeah. So
the halftime show pissed off white America. That's all you need to know, and it was delicious. And as I said on my personal Facebook, next year it should be a complete Bollywood ensemble. That's what we need, and we need to have our friend Savan as Captain Slick Brass to host it like Sam Jackson did. That would be superb. That'd be chef's kiss. I think by that time, most of white America was pissed off by it. They would probably have a conniption fit and a stroke at once.
Maybe.
Sweep them to the side. You know, make room for the real people. Anywho, enough about that. Anywho, Barry, how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right.
That's good.
I have been keeping kind of busy this week.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot more in VR recently and trying to learn more about some different stuff. I'll go about that in like nerdy days.
Cool.
The Geeks Roundtable. So yeah, no, it's just been like a quiet week. I ended up trying out some new stuff for some recipes for like keto for a friend's family member because they're diabetic. And I learned some new recipes and stuff. And then, yeah, it's just been kind of like a weird winter, like finally getting some snow, thankfully, in the dreaming. And it's been quite enjoyable that way. And I say hi to my chatterinos. Hi, Serenity. Hi, Miss Yellow Red. Good to see you guys.
Chatterinos. I love
Chatterinos.
that. No, you got me thinking of the other podcast I listen to.
Which one is that?
How rude, Tannerinos.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that one yet.
Yeah, it's hosted by Jodie Sweetin and Andrea Barber. They do rundowns of Full House episodes.
Oh, interesting. Oh man, that's a throwback. That's definitely some nostalgia.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this now. If you decide to listen to this podcast, Barry, start at the very first episode if it's up, because it gets deep in some episodes and stuff. I'm just like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Now I listened to that and Pod Meets World. Now,
yeah,
both podcasts are great, but I have an issue with both of them. But I do understand, so it's not really an issue per se. It's like they're going back, they're retelling each episode, and there are various situations, and they're gauging the situations as if as adults now, instead of them when they were children or teenagers. And in a way, I kind of have an issue with that. Like, yes, the couple acted this way. Yes, as adults, we wouldn't do that, but they were teenagers. Teenagers do stupid things. It shouldn't have been.
That's fair. And not even just teenagers, but like even middle school kids nowadays have like an innate sense to just do stupid stuff, because at that point, like in your life, at that point, you're like not a fully formed human yet. And so you are willing to push boundaries sometimes, and you do really foolish things. I mean, I have heard from a lot of friends, especially those who went into video gaming very early in life, like there's a lot of things that they stated that they look back on and they regret, right? Or the habits that they learned that they regret. And it's like, well, yeah, I never learned those things, but there are a lot of people who have.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that a lot of folks, you only know after you experience it, right?
Yeah.
So.
It's like when you look back at your teenage years and you realize, maybe I should not have done that, because now you have that wisdom.
You have context and hindsight and education.
But at the same time, you didn't know it. Everybody might as well just rolled with the punches, And I think that's one of the. I wouldn't say it's a gripe per se. Like I said, it's not really an issue, but it gives me some insight. Like as I'm listening to How Rude Tannerinos, Jodie and Andrea point out how Jesse is very misogynistic, and I'm like, wait, is he? His character's kind of like the product of the 80s and the 90s. I think
part of it too.
But when I listen to the
product of the 90s, I was gonna say it context, right? Because context and era that the item was made in, it may not have been acceptable or is not acceptable.
Right.
But the problem was at that time, it was a societal standard.
Yeah.
And so it was an expectation, especially in masculinity, that there are some characteristics back then that were considered now that we see what healthier relationships are. We've been able to kind of name and explain things in healthier relationships better, that we're able to kind of point out and be like, oh, they don't treat each other right,
It's like that show, that parody show of Saved by the Bell. What did it?
Oh God, I think I know what you're talking about. I just can't recall the name of it.
Yeah, that show. Yeah, when they went back and went after Zach Morris's Trash. That's the name of it. That's the name. Of it. Yeah, and I had a problem with it. I'm like, maybe because one of my favorite shows growing up was Saved by the Bell. And I'm like, it's a product of its time. This was kind of the norm. And not for nothing, some of the shit that Zach Morris pulled off on that show probably would have been done nowadays still. And I think the issue I had with that was coming from a bunch of millennials who probably have never got up on Saturday mornings and watched Saved by the Bell,
Yes. Yeah, or like had the idea of like these TV shows that were supposed to be almost like soap operas in a way, right? I see Ciatabiri in chat saying the more you grow, the more your values change, but also the same with society. I've heard that actually what they notice about as you age is that a lot of people get more conservative. So I think that that's a good idea.
Well, that too.
To just like check yourself too and notice yourself when you start to notice toxic aspects of yourself. Be that you become more conservative, be that you become more liberal or nondescript. Like just check yourself and have friends around you that can give you more insight into other perspectives. Never give yourself an echo chamber. Sometimes it feels nice to have friends that agree with you a lot, but never give in to the yes man epidemic.
Yeah.
And then plus Jesse was supposed to be very heavy on emulating Elvis, which we do know that Elvis had some traits that could be considered misogynistic from his time.
Yeah.
So
there was something else to point out, but yeah, that's basically the long and short of it. So
sorry.
No, you're good. But what it is like when they talk about certain aspects, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I get it now, because when you listen to the podcast, you realize they were both in toxic marriages. And they talk about certain things. And as somebody who was in a toxic relationship, I actually was like, what? Wait, what? Oh, I get it. I understand. And to go back to what you said about views being conservative, this or this, that, sometimes I feel as I'm getting older, my views are slightly changing. Like, I'll see people act a certain way. I'm just like, no, this ain't it. But at the same time, I see people doing certain things, but they're not hurting anybody. They're not harming nobody.
Well, yeah.
They're still being happy. And I'm just like, it is what it is. Like there are some views in this world that I don't agree with. I will not.
Yes.
I won't speak it to the world. I'll keep that to myself because no one needs to know it but me. But if how I'm feeling about certain things, like you, Barry, if there's certain things you're doing that I think is wrong, but you're not hurting anybody, but I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Live your life. Live your life.
That's kind of my rule on it too.
Yeah.
That's kind of my rule on it too. If you're not hurting yourself, someone else, or anybody with your action, or like causing issues that will heavily relate onto situations, kind of like some of the stuff we're facing now, but I don't want to get too deep into it. Like if you're not trying to impress your lifestyle upon other people who do not consent to it, then that's, like you're doing your thing, right? And that's fine, Obviously, like I hope that you look to care and be empathetic to your fellow man. Like that's what I try to do every day, but I'm not always perfect. No one's always perfect, and humans by nature have to be selfish to a certain point, right? To have your needs met.
Yep.
So like, it just depends on who you are and how you reflect on life and stuff like that. But generally, yeah, like it's live and let live.
Yeah.
At that point.
And it kind of, and I see where he says in our chat here, maybe about millennial, Gen Z, cusp, and Gen Z. They're firmly millennial and watched a lot of Saved by the Bell. And I'll say this real quick and we'll get into the rest of the show. I remember coming up on the elevator talking to somebody, like what they got for lunch. And they're like, oh, I got avocado toast. I'm like, you millennial. She's like, no, I'm Gen Z. And I'm just like, what?
You're like, you better stop buying that avocado toast now. You gotta watch out. Those other generations gonna come for you.
Yeah, millennials will come snatch you some wigs now. We can't have that. Can't have that.
But yeah.
Anywho, you can always find us here on Twitch TV Tuesdays from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern. You can find us at Twitch TV/Anime Jam Session. We're part of the Voice of Geeks Network. We're proud to be part of the Voice of Geeks Network at vognetwork.com. I need to update that so it shows Blue Sky. You can always find peeps at Vog Network on Twitch. Say what?
I was just gonna copy paste the Blue Sky actually.
Sweet. Yeah, I have to actually update the domain information so it looks like we're quote unquote verified. I just like that.
Oh my god.
Look, to be verified on Blue Sky, all you gotta do is point it to your website. That's it. That's the cool thing.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I'll have to adjust
it's
that
not,
too.
It's
okay.
like that's why I say quote unquote verified. That's what it is.
Yeah,
know.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can always find them, the rest of the people on Vog Network on Twitch at Twitch TV/Vog Network, and come hang out in our Discord at vognetwork.com/Discord. Every show that's part of the Voice of Geeks Network has their own channel, so come through, hang out, and have a good time. So now that we got that out the way, we're going to go ahead and I'm gonna kick it over to Barry and ask them how was their day, how was their week. So how was your day and how was your week?
It's been a pretty uneventful week.
Mm.
Recently my community got together and ended up getting me a VR headset.
Oh,
So
that's
I've been playing a
nice.
lot of VR chat and doing a lot of VR work. And so for me, I was playing with that for a while, but then found out that it had a technical issue, so it had to go in for RMA.
Mm.
So that was a bit of a rigmarole, as you know, with tech. But generally, the rest of the week was just me working on some projects, sewing and things like that. I still have some leather work projects to do, and I have a white mage from Final Fantasy 14 cosplay coming up for a client. So I'll be working on that mostly. Yeah, no, it's been a pretty quiet little month for me. I know there's not too much going on now in the
Mm-hmm.
area I am. We're starting to get a lot of our snow. So we're starting to get our blizzards and stuff, kind of like KatsuCon and MagFest
Mm-hmm.
during those periods of time. We get a lot. We usually tend to get our blizzards or our big blusters of cold weather. So for the conventions, I don't think that it's probably gone great, but I think MagFest was held earlier this year
Yeah.
in like January.
Yep.
And then KatsuCon, I think, went off last weekend.
No,
So I think
Katsu is this
thankfully.
weekend.
Is it this weekend? Oh no. Well, I hope that they don't freeze your little toe beans off, KatsuCon goers. I hope you have a
Barry,
lot of fun. You stay safe, and that they will.
Barry,
But yeah,
remember, KatsuCon, 99% of the time, KatsuCon is between
it's Valentine's Day
times
weekend.
and President's Day. Yeah.
President's Day. That's the other. Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
Either.
I am not going this year,
Mhm.
but I still remember certain aspects of it
Yeah.
fondly.
Either you go to KatsuCon and you see somebody get engaged at the masquerade, photo shoot, or the
Mm-hmm.
formal, or you go home and get a good deal on a new car during the President's Day sale.
Yeah, I'm just gonna save up my money and buy myself some snacks on the 50% off chocolates official holiday, which is the day after Valentine's.
You know, besides sending my partner a Valentine's Day card, I like the fact that she's extremely low maintenance. She hates it when I spoil her, but I'm like, I do it from time to time.
Aw.
She's used to it.
Yeah.
She doesn't mind if I do it sporadically. But
Yeah.
one of the things I do is like I have my list. I mail out a bunch of Valentine's Day cards, and I just spoke to one of my friends who just got into a relationship. I'm just like, do you want a card? Because my thing is, I don't want to send a card and then her partner comes after me.
Yeah, I get
and
the
then
wrong
I,
idea
and
or
then
something like
and then I
that,
gotta
yeah.
explain why he ended up at the bottom of my stairs, all broken and bodied.
Uh-oh. You know, honestly, like
Uh,
on that aspect, Ranma, I
mm,
feel like there needs to be like the capability for there to be more healthy
yes,
intergender relationships. And I
yes.
say that
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like there are a lot of people. I mean, it harks back to the idea, and I know that this is kind of a dark phrase, but like men only get flowers on their grave, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of a phrase we know. And it's kind of something that we don't think about a lot of like everybody loves to be cherished in some way, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
friend, as a partner, as anything. So if you can cherish your friends by sending them a card, I mean, what are we doing in middle school and elementary school? You sent Valentine's to everybody
Right,
in
but
the
then
class, you know.
as we got older, puberty,
Hmm.
hormones,
Yeah, and there were
teenage
different
dramas on
meanings to
television,
that,
all of that
right?
stuff. Yeah,
I mean, as long
yeah.
as you're not
All
sending
right.
them like a card with like a thong on it or something,
No.
like I imagine that it's just a little heartfelt, like, hey, you're having a good Valentine's. I hope that
Look,
this message sends you a lot of love and care, right? As long
look,
as you're
look,
just sending something like that,
look. I
you
went to
know. Are you
Target.
gonna
Okay,
pick up one of them and show it to us?
I went to
Cozy.
Target and bought
Target. Ooh, the
Target.
Target.
I went to Target. Love
Peek
it. I went to
peek
Target. You know.
monocle guy. You pulled out the monocle for this one. I'm sorry.
But I got
Great.
2 packs of cool Valentine's
Yeah.
Day. These are like one says Happy Valentine's Day on the front here, and the other one says
Yeah.
Smiles and Hugs and has a fucking sloth on it. Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
The
Yeah,
sloth one
I just
says,
everybody like I feel like there's such a loss of snail mail as a culture.
mm-hmm,
Like just receiving and giving cards. I love getting them. I love getting them, and I've started to try and write thank you letters when I get them.
okay,
Because
all
I'm
right, all
very
right.
bad about it. And I have like a memory board that I put cards onto that I get to see when I come up a staircase in my house. I have a little memory board that's got ribbons across it that I just slide little cards and pictures from like like friends who have kiddos that just like send their holiday card where it's like the family of the Jacksons or whatever. And they just like, it's a lovely little card. I'm like, oh my God, my heart. I absolutely adore it. And it's just a lovely little memory wall.
Yeah. Like,
and Miss Yellow Red in chat's like, someone be my Valentine's Day. You can be my Valentine's Day.
We'll both be your Valentines. My girlfriend's okay with, like, she's okay with me being shared to a certain point. But anyway,
there you go, Rama.
So the sloth cards on the back says, hope your Valentine's Day leaves you feeling happy and loved, because you totally are. And the Valentine's one says, hope it's a sweet one. But, you know, and I get it.
See?
I get how, you know, some guys are like, what you doing sitting my girl? I get that. But at the same time, if you've been with your significant other for X amount of years and a friend gives them a card, I don't think you have nothing to worry about.
I mean, if you fear a friend sending a little heartfelt card, you've got deeper problems, honey. That's a trust issue, communication thing.
That's what I.
And you guys are not talking properly. Properly.
See, that's what I totally get. That's what I believe it is. It's always be a trust issue, but at the same time, it's also a respect issue. You know, to some people in some cultures, you don't do it, which I totally get. A throuple date, a throuple internet date. Okay,
throuple date, let's go.
I could do that, you know. Change the background to a nice restaurant from Lady and the Tramp. I will somehow roll the virtual meatball.
That would be funny to have like a VR interaction with like a la Markiplier on a date with you. If anybody has, just start another stream and ban anyone from me who's not me from chatting.
Well, Barry, I will say this. I will say this.
Yellow Red, you're funny.
I will say this before I get into my weekend day. In my last relationship, we had weekly virtual dates. Do you know what we did?
Oh, what did you do?
We played Borderlands. And other games. That's what we did. We would play video games, co-op games together for 3-4 hours every week and talk and stuff like that. And we still do that to this day. We're friends now, but we still play every week.
Oh, that's so great. I mean, honestly, I feel like, and this is something like I feel is heartfelt. I feel like while a lot of us were very pressed to just kind of continue working and be very robotic, I feel like we need to cherish our friends a little bit. Like, you don't always have to go out of your way to reach out to everybody or like include a whole huge group if that's not your thing. But just like, I guess this is my reminder to you that for Valentine's, because it's such a capitalized holiday, just reach out to someone you care about and like show them a little care this year. And like let them know that they're seen and they're valid to you. And I feel like that kind of feeling and that kind of heartfelt cherishness will go a long way in making someone feel like they matter. And I feel like a lot of people need that right now, especially with how everything is going. So send some care to your friends you love, and that's my request for the year. If I get one request.
Fair. That is so totally fair. Okay, so
what did you do this week?
Well, besides work, I was supposed to go to Mako's for her birthday, but she's dealing with bronchitis pretty badly, so she's on the mend, but the cough was still bad, so she canceled all plans. So I basically puttered around the house. I worked on convention photos. I know my last con was DerpyCon, but the thing is, being in this new place, it's just kind of absorbed all my free time for me just to stare at the wall and do other things. So I got to refocus back on, because the end game for me is to finish the DerpyCon photos by the end of this week, and next week the photo shoots I've done, I want them all posted. That way I have at least 5 weeks of free time gaming before Sekaicon. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm trying to do. Keyword try. So that's basically has been it. I did go out for the Super Bowl, and neither one of my teams made it in. And one party I went to was like, they're promoting everyone to come wear your favorite team jersey. So I went out and I said, you know what? There's only one team jersey I can buy, one football jersey I can buy that everybody would greatly appreciate. And hold on, I am going to go grab it right now. And I should have worn that instead of this Mercedes Monet shirt, which I have zero regrets on buying because it's an awesome shirt because Sailor Moon is her homegirl. But, hold on.
That's cool. But yeah. Hi, chat. Jingle Jangle Keys over here. How are you guys doing? How's chat doing today?
Another benefit of being in a small room, it's easier for me to get up and grab stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I went out and ordered this off Amazon for $20.
Ooh.
A replica of Al Bundy's Polk High School football jersey, number 33. And yes, it says Bundy on the back. Al Bundy, 4 touchdowns in a single game.
Crazy.
I just had to, and like when I walked, everybody thought it was great. So there was that. So all right. So now that we got that out the way, let's get into some housekeeping here. Okay, move the microphone back. Let's see. Episodes of Anime Jam Session are available on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Anime Jam Session. Click on podcasts and you'll see the Uber playlist there. Episodes are available Thursdays at 12 p.m. And this is perfect for those who want to see more than a year's worth of our VODs if you're a member or not. So kind of a cool thing. Fans View Friday. I don't know what Ari has in store for this week, but definitely stick around. What she does on her YouTube page, she pulls a convention out of the book of Kevin Lillard, long late great Kevin Lillard, and she talks about the convention that he covered. So that's pretty cool. And that's Fans View Friday on Twitch TV/Wisteria Witch VT, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we're about to kick things off with our first convention of the year, Sekaicon 2025 in Lancaster County in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, March 21st to the 23rd. A few of us will be there. I have a panel going, Twitch Streaming 101, the things that you need to know. And this is more about the hardware and the software stuff. Once you got that down pat, everything else will come together. So definitely stick around for that. Once I have more information about the time and the location of that panel, I will advertise it here, and hopefully y'all come out and check it out. And we will have a copy on our YouTube page, so you can check that out as well. Let's see what else is here. And I think that is it. Oh, Barry, are you going to the Super Live concert in DC or no?
Probably not.
Okay.
I'd heard that it was going on, but I obviously tickets and stuff are going to be expensive and things like that. I just have too much work right now.
Gotcha.
And I'm trying to do a lot more in VR. I mean, that's the thing I miss. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I really wish had come out of our apocalypse that we had, that we didn't want, but we had, was that if there were more events that still offered a lot more digital platforming, because I feel like there's a lot of that went away after we went back to being
because there was no need because more people are going out and about. But there are some places that still do it. But also it would have been cool to see you go to one of the Super Live as Miyu Venus. That would have been cool. That would have been cool. Yes, if you got that would be cool if you had gotten a VIP ticket and got a high five with them. You high fiving Venus
with them, yeah. That would have been cool. I'll have to look into it for next time because I do love like I did make a La Reconquista version of Jupiter forever ago.
Oh right, no, that's right. Wait, that was Jupiter. That what you did, not Venus. Jupiter. Yeah.
I didn't do. I
your friend did Venus.
That I had make her Venus because I still worked in fabrics at that time. But I made Jupiter. Just because I was taller, so it just made more sense. And I love Jupiter, so.
And you're more talented.
Oh, yeah, Ranma, yes, big talent. Yes, absolute.
What? Look. If you watch that episode from Sailor Moon, Makoto basically did say in the Japanese that she should be big.
No, that she had tons of talent. Yes.
No. She didn't say anything about talent. She basically said she had the biggest biggest
No,
bust.
she had the biggest boobs
boobs
in the group. Yes,
to be Snow White. I'm just like,
alluding to.
see, I didn't realize that until I watched the subtitle. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I understood the reference in
boobies.
I understood the reference in talent, but I just thought it was kind of funny how they slipped that in.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, when they brought it to American culture, they were like, well, we can't say that.
Well, they said something all right.
Definitely.
All right. Let's get into Geek Roundtable. This is where we talk more about the geekier aspects of our lives and what cool geek stuff we've been up to. So, Barry, share what you have been up to.
So yeah, like I mentioned before, and during like my weekend day, I obviously I am becoming more skilled, I guess, in VR and virtual reality and 3D modeling and things of that nature. That's been kind of a focus for me. That's what I invested in for the wintertime. I put a lot of my savings into a second rig that has 3D capabilities. So it has a 3D capable CPU and a bit of a better graphics card and things like that. So I've been doing more in Blender and more in Unity and more work on those platforms into modeling and things like that. But I also have been in VR chat hanging out in some really cool little bar groups. And so with those bar groups, I was able to work out with them. Something that I really want to do is something a la Iron Mouse of the hosting group gatherings in VR so that people can come and visit me in a safe way for both of us. And so for me, I got to host an MC and do a little performing at a karaoke night for a set of bars that ended up collabing together. So it was kind of a pretty crazy event. Had like 20 plus people come. And because it was like the first time I'd ever done an event and it wasn't well advertised, I think that it was pretty awesome. I was doing a lot of the filler music, and then we also just had some people playing background music whenever it was just not that busy. But yeah, generally it was really cool. It felt like being back in my Maid Cafe days. Like it was that nice little bite of performance that I've missed out on for so many years. So it's like really nice to be able to kind of go back in a way. I had full body tracking before I even got a headset. And so when my community came together and ended up getting me a headset, I was like very like I was verklempt. If you need a word of the day, if you need a wordle of the day, verklempt. And so I'd been playing with it for a little while, but then the problem I had was that I had a software update, and I think after the software update, there was something about the I don't know if it was like the ratio of sensitivity that the USB port on the headset had for anti-flammable settings, you know, where it was just like super sensitive. And I guess now it alerts you. It was alerting me every now and then about like, oh, the USB has start functioning because of such and such alert. Please remove remove dirt or water from the charging port and try again. And I was like, well, this port has been plugged in the whole time that I've had it. And so I went through the whole like process with them. And so I have to send in the headset and deal with all that stuff. And so I'll be like, working with that for a few weeks. But yeah, it was just a pain in the butt because it was a new headset. And it also was weird because like it 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 didn't have any other warnings. It was just that it would had like a little bit of screen tearing. But it's just one of those things that when you get into new technology, like the growing pains, obviously, of learning all that. So that's pretty much been my big geeky thing. Is you guys kind of know me for getting like further into. As much as I say I'm not a tech head, as much as I say I'm not a computer nerd, I kind of I feel like I am in some respects, but I also feel like it's out of necessity. And for anybody who's interested, the headset that I have now is a Quest 3. And the trackers that I use are Slime BMUs, and they are the i270 series. Yeah.
And that
for anybody interested.
That went completely over my head because I don't have a 3D headset. I sometimes I kind of want one, but at the same VR headset. Sometimes I want one, but at the same time I don't. But they're cool nonetheless.
I was afraid I was afraid because I thought my motion sickness was going to make me incapable of doing VR. Like I had a huge fear of it. I had a huge fear of it before I even started playing FPS. Like I was worried because I had such bad motion sickness, especially because my illness like makes me nauseous pretty much every day, that I thought I was never going to be able to approach these platforms. And so for me to be able to approach these platforms, like is like a huge win.
Mm.
And so a lot of that was just me researching like voraciously, just eating up any knowledge on these things that I could and doing a ton of research. Obviously, my studio space.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, the way it's set up, I couldn't do certain types of tracking because of what they call occlusion, which is where if your tracker is blocked by physical items in your space, or if there are too many magnetized items in your space, there's going to be interference. That I wouldn't be able to use something like regular, what they call lighthouse tracking, which is like a Vive tracker or like the higher end trackers that you can get for like thousands of dollars. So I was like, you know what? I kind of know what I need, kind of know all this stuff I'm looking into. And so I ended up just researching a lot and finding out that I like the idea of slimes because they also have the practicality of being repairable or replaceable by the user. Like you can buy all these little motherboards and stuff and all these little modules and stuff and replace them yourself. And so, you know me, always the tinkerer, that I always love having technology where I can look inside of it and pick at its guts and its little mechanical viscera.
You're kind
So
of like the Winry Rockbell of the group.
I'm a little bit like Winry or is it Entrapta?
Yes, Entrapta.
From She-Ra, Entrapta.
I
Like, oh, what's your robot?
I still want Entrapta figurine because Entrapta's awesome.
I want to cosplay her at some point because she's just so cute.
I will throw a ring on your finger if you do that. Oh, did I say that out loud? Never mind.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, so there's like the cosplays and stuff. And I want to get back into cosplay, I think is like a big thing for me this year. Eventually when I am feeling a lot better. I want to get back into cosplaying and doing all that stuff again. I don't think I'll do a lot of events just because of my health stuff, but I do want to get more back into the cosplaying aspects and the building and stuff of it. Hi, Bonds. Bonds is like, let me know the date I'll be on photography. Oh, bud, yeah, we'll have to work on it. Maybe I'm thinking that like if I go to any event, it's probably going to be Otakon. Because I know already that I already like that one, and I know that they already have like they've been putting up huge backdrop setups where there's like a definite photography space in their gaming space. And so it's nicely spread out and they have it organized. Like they have, and you can sign up and they have it where they had staff that were monitoring it last year where they were like, okay, like we're having our photos. Okay, your time's up. Now the next group is coming.
See, now I'll say this real quick and I'll get into my geek roundtable and we'll kick off the show.
Yeah.
But in a way, I kind of miss going to Katsucon and Otakon because as a cosplay photographer, these are the two big conventions on the East Coast where you're going to see cosplayers. Oh, they're going to just go out with the full regale. You ain't going to tell them otherwise. But the downside, these cons are big. It's way too much for me to handle. It's like, and for me to do a proper coverage of these cons, I need a team of people, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like the biggest I will really deal with is Zenkai, and that's because I've been
Zenkai's
doing.
Zenkai's still very comfy.
Yeah.
Like Zenkai's always got that comfy vibe. I want to go back to Zenkai, but for me right now with my health and stuff, it's just too long a drive. Like it's just too far to travel. And
well, you do realize you could drive to Mako's house and rest there for a day or two and ride in the back of her car.
Well, it's not even that. It's more so just pain. Honestly, it's just that like if I'm in too much pain, I can't drive, let alone be functional.
There's this mass transit commuting system called Amtrak.
I know. I've looked into it too, but no, it's like unfortunately, it's just my health. My health has just declined. And I can tell you about it later. But yeah, no, it's a situation where traveling is just hard for me now. So it's not that I don't want to go or I can't go. It's just that I've been having more bad days than good, and that definitely affects how I can travel. So
no, I get you.
Yeah.
So anyhow, for my geek roundtable, I'm starting to catch up with Red Ranger no Isekai, or Red Ranger in the Adventures into Another World. It's pretty fun. I started watching the dub and I switched back to the subtitle because I think I liked it better. It's far, like, my thing is when it comes to anime, If it comes out right away, I'll watch it subtitled. If I don't watch it right away and I know it's being translated, I'll watch it dubbed. And that's how it goes. And sometimes, depending on how good it is, I'll go back and rewatch it in a different, like in the other language. Like, Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. When they announced the dub of that, I sat down, I watched it, and it was just as good as the original subtitle. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm caught up with Sakamoto Days. That's really good. That's basically, what if John Wick's fiance didn't die and he got married and then retired, you know? There's a couple of other titles I need to catch up on, like ReZero Season 3. In a way, I'm kind of glad it's only 12 episodes. The 1,000 Girlfriends That Really, Really Love You. I gotta catch up with that. And there's a couple of others. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait a couple more weeks and start watching my other two shows and then start watching the others and try to catch up. That's probably what I want to do. A part of me wants to just take this season and start catching up with older titles. That way, when the new winter season is over, I can go down and just marathon the shows. Like, I haven't finished Nier Automata. I need to finish that. And what's interesting is, like a while back, someone had shared like this massive Facebook post of all the winter shows. I was just like, I'm not gonna have time to watch all of these. But at the same time, I forgot to take down names of a bunch of them to put in my anime list. But here's something interesting. So I don't know if I really talked about this a lot, but one of the issues I've been having since I moved is getting packages. It's the aspect of them being delivered to my new location. The postal service will forward packages and magazines and stuff for like 90 days, and that's it. So what I've been doing was I've been kind of going through all of the sites and trying to update my address, but sometimes some things kind of fall through the cracks. Like, there was something on Amazon that I had ordered, and I had to go back to my old place and get it, because even though I have my new address listed, I think it was a pre-order and they just didn't check the updated addresses and stuff. So, you know, there was stuff I had to get reordered, have them shipped me all over again. One of the things I got from Otaku Mode, having to go back there and grab it, I changed my address. I get a notification about a package. Now, what I do is when it comes to Otaku Mode, it gets labeled and it gets tossed into a folder. And I don't think to check that folder, because if I check it in time, I can change the address. Long story short, one of my figurines was shipped over there. I think it's because it's coming out of a different warehouse. So I spent about $60 going to my old house to pick it up and getting it back. I will say this: if I wasn't going out again that last Saturday to do something, I probably would have not paid money. I probably would have gotten a lift to go back. I probably would have just taken the bus. So, anywho, the figurine that I had to go back to the house and get, and you probably heard me, the crinkling and the crackling earlier until I had to, mute the microphone so I could pull the plastic off of it. And it looks like there's this new and improved bubble wrap that's kind of sticky. It doesn't stick to the box of what you're buying, but it makes it, I guess, makes it easier to keep it wrapped, but you know. So I ended up picking up Your Forger's everyday outfit, where she's wearing like the leggings, the boots, the headband, and the long red sweater. It looks like a combination sweater dress. So, because on the front it looks like a nice big old sweater. And on the back, you can see like it's like a blouse and a skirt attachment kind of thing. It's like her casual outfit. So there's that. And as soon as I can organize these two boxes, because I have a lot more stuff I need to put in storage, and once that's done, I have this area more organized, I will probably put that figurine out on display. Hell, but I still my Lolita Asuka that I bought like 3 years ago is still sealed in its box, because I hadn't had an actual moment to properly take it out of the box. All right, enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into tonight's stories. And I know we are so late over this, so but don't worry.
I mean, what happens whenever we get together, Rama? We're just a bunch
Yeah,
of chatterheads. You
and,
know I'm a yapper.
and one of the articles coming up, you're going to yap and yap and yap.
No,
Which, for the record,
I
will say this: I am, even though it sounds like I am mocking you when I say you yap and yap and yap.
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time, you are putting in valid information, shit that we need to know. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, and trust me, you'll know what that article is when we get to it. But we're going to get into the first one, which is probably something that has happened in the past between conventions previously. It seems that Ohayocon is suing Sekaicon over trade secrets. And I saw someone making a mock joke about that, and I'm just like, well, Ohiocon's been around for quite a long time. They have their practices on how to do certain things, but you also got to remember there are a lot of staffers who staff different conventions and learn stuff back and forth. And eventually, when people start forming their own conventions, they're going to pull ideas and stuff from other conventions they staff to make it work. But that's where the thin line is when it comes to trade secrets on certain things. So let's get into the nitty gritty of this. Now, the owners behind Ohayocon, the Cultural Exchange Society, filed a civil lawsuit against Sekai Guild, the organizers of the new Ohio-based convention Sekaicon last month. The suit alleges that Sekaicon organizers, better known as former Ohayocon staff members, misappropriated confidential business information and trade secrets from Ohayocon. The suit further alleges that the former Ohayocon staff members attempted to extort control of the convention from Cultural Exchange Society president Melissa Ann Phelps in a fraudulent attempt to organize the convention's team. It states that upon failure, the former staff used misappropriated assets to interfere with the business and the private lives of organization members, as well as publicly defame members to promote Sekaicon. The suit states that Phelps and other members have and continue to receive death threats online. In addition, the suit claims that Jared Hightower, former Ohayocon staff member and member of Conventions of Ohio Volunteer Event Network, COVEN, a collective formed by former Ohayocon volunteers who sought to address concerns with Ohayocon's governing body, breached his fiduciary duties to CES by secretly coordinating with Coven and the senior leadership to harm it and with the Sekai Guild to compete with it. Jesus. As an example of a Sekaicon's theft of Ohiocon's assets, CES provided an example of the use of the collectible ribbons related at various aspects at conventions. In a social media post, Sekaicon said that it is another convention where ribbons are a big part of, adding that Ohio-based conventions, Colossal Con and MatsuriCon also use them. Okay, so I'm not in the mood to look up the lawsuit because it's probably in public domain. But one of the things they're suing is over handing out ribbons at conventions. That's like, remember the bullshit over copywriting Comic-Con? And it caused a lot of conventions to change their names. That shit is ridiculous. That's like saying Ren fairs can only have they can only have chess battles and so forth, which, if you know, has become very popular at anime conventions too. Anyhow, let's see where we leave off at. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. The suit seeks compensation for damages and reimbursement of legal costs. Ohayocon 2025 took place from January 31st to February 2nd of this year. The event moved from Columbus to a new location, the Dayton Convention Center in Dayton, Ohio. Sekaicon will run from April 11th to 13th at Newark, near Columbus. All right. Ohayocon senior leadership changed in November when Stephen Baker took over as con director, William T. as an associate con director, and Alexander S. director of operations, and Andrew T. as the director of social media, public relations, and marketing. Ohayocon 2024 took place in January 2024. However, over 91 individuals, including former senior leadership members and year round volunteers, boycotted the convention last year following the termination of Cody Markham, Ohiocon's former con chair, who had been with us since 2009, and Aaron, whose name has been withheld by request, the former director of marketing. Talks between Coven and the CESI board of directors began as early as March of 2023. Coven's demands included fair compensation, the prohibiting of CSI board members from receiving compensation over the average compensation value of staff leaders who do not sit on the board, the immediate adoption of a code of conduct that everyone will be beholden onto, more transparency in budgetary matters, updated labor policies, and for CESI's outright purchase and ownership of Ohiocon's brand materials, including logo and mascot. Wow. There were arguments regarding the topic, such as finances. Ultimately, it was a logo disputing regarding the convention's official logo at the time, a red cross in a circle with a white background, which was assumed to have violated the Geneva Conventions, and a new Sakura logo, another red circular logo, but with a white sakura flower in the center. That eventually led to Markham's termination. At the Red Cross request, Ohayocon modified its logo by adding a blue background, which the Red Cross approved. The previous senior leadership team later decided that this adjustment was not sufficient and opted to switch to the Sakura design, which had copyright concerns revolving around Sakura of America's similar logo. Ohayocon received feedback regarding the designs and declined its request to revert back to the previous logo. According to CESI, Markham had changed the logo without their approval. The CESI requested Markham and Aaron provide access to the convention's social media platforms and other necessary login information. Following their refusal, Ohayocon decided to terminate Markham's position, voting to remove him and the former director of marketing, Aaron, in October of 2023. While there is more to this full story that has not, well, there is more to the full story that is detailed online. This all eventually led to the resignation of several convention senior leadership members and boycott of last year's event. And wow, that boycott kind of works. According to Ohayocon, 9 senior leadership members submitted their resignations in protest. While some staff members signed the COVID manifesto, they were welcomed back to staff Ohayocon and are still part of the team. Wow. Shit is getting serious. And that's all I gotta say about that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing with industry, right? Is that like obviously trade secrets are such an interesting thing, especially when it comes to convention world, because it, again, like you said earlier, is a lot of staff, a lot of people who do staff work multiple events. And there is a bit of bleed over, right, with the way things are run, especially if they're run well, or especially if they're the same staff for the same event at different events, right? If there's a masquerade staff that runs the masquerade event at the other convention, then obviously they're probably going to carry over a lot of those practices. But considering this in particular, it's really just a matter of different aspects to it. I mean, I think at this point you just got to be careful with what you're doing. So,
and copyright and trademark everything that you do so you have a decent paper trail.
Pretty much, so you have legal leg to stand on. So.
Now we go from legal matters between conventions, we go to legal matters regarding an arsonist. Jesus.
Yes. So, for those who don't know or had not heard about Kyoto Animation's arsonists, lawyer asking to nullify their appeal withdrawal in the probably one of the most recent mass casualties of Japan is the Kyoto Animation arson and subsequent loss of life from that event. The defense asked for nullification 2 days after the withdrawal of the appeal last week. the legal team of Shinji Aoba, who was convicted of the arson fire that killed 36 people and wounded 32 others at Kyoto Animation, asked the Osaka High Court to nullify their withdrawal of his appeal against his death sentence on the 30th of January. Aoba himself withdrew the appeal 2 days earlier on the 28th. When a suspect withdraws their appeal in Japanese court, the court can finalize its sentence and ends that trial. However, the Mainichi Shimbun paper reported that it is not unprecedented in the Japanese legal system for courts to nullify withdrawals of appeal if the defendant seemed unable to protect their rights due to the shock of a death sentence. So basically, it's Japan's way of dealing with death row inmates. The Kyoto District Court handed down a guilty verdict to Aoba on January 25th, 2024, last year. The defense representing Aoba filed an appeal to the ruling the following day. The prosecutor for the case announced their intent to seek the death penalty for Aoba in December of 2023, while the defense's main argument focused on a reduced sentence or acquittal, arguing that Aoba was not in sound mental state during his attack. One of the trials focused on hearing arguments on this matter, but the judge deemed Aoba criminally liable, which I'm thankful for because I definitely agree with that particular court case. The Kyoto District Court stated that the main trial for the arson murder case in September 2023 and the pretrial proceedings starting in May 2023, the court has 32 total hearings. On July 18th, 2019, is when the event occurred. It was a devastating fire that broke out in Kyoto Animation Studio 1 building. A total of 70 people were inside the building at the time. In addition to the victims inside the building, a man in his 40s on his way to work in the area suffered minor injuries from smoke inhalation. The Kyoto Prefectural Police apprehended the then 41-year-old Aoba, now 46, who used gasoline to start the fire. He bought 40 liters, or about 11 gallons of gasoline in two canisters and used a cart to transport it to the Studio One building. Japanese prosecutors formally indicted him in December 2020, and he himself had extensive burns all over his body from the fire. They are done concluding the work with the demolition on the building, which concluded in 2020, and the studio started recruiting again in July of that same year. A documentary featuring Dr. Takahiro Ueda, the doctor responsible for caring for Aoba, which aired in September 2023 in Japan, 4 days before the trial started. It is inferred by a lot of folks that the issue stemmed from a certain episode of a certain show, and that was what was his sparking point.
Yeah.
And you can definitely look more into the details of this case and the included parties if you so desire to. But I mean, I hope that he is held in jail for a very long time. Or at least is, punished within whatever the law obviously can do so for his crimes.
How about that? Okay, we'll flip things over to some more positive and better news about J-pop sensation Lisa. Lisa is announcing her North American tour, Another Great Day. I could. It seems that musical star Lisa is returning to North America for a special tour. In June, you can catch her during her Another Great Day tour powered by Crunchyroll in 3 cities. New York City to June 18th, Los Angeles, June 24th, and Mexico City, June 28th. New York City will be at Terminal 5. Los Angeles, it'll be at the YouTube Theater. And June 28th, it'll be at the Pepsi Center. A special pre-sale for Crunchyroll fans will begin on Wednesday, February 12th at 10 a.m. using the code Crunchyroll. General ticket sales will then open on Valentine's Day at 10 a.m. Now, if it was another month before, I would try to get tickets, but there's the Cowboy Bebop live thing I want to get, and it seems that VIP tickets for that is dirt cheap. I'm looking into that. As said by Lisa, my first North American tour is here. This is my first solo show in New York and LA, and my first show in Mexico in 9 years, said Lisa in a press release. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for waiting for us. For those who will see me perform for the first time, looking forward to seeing you. We will be bringing a lot of our precious songs with us. Let us have a great time. Today is another great day. Lisa is known for her theme songs featured in Demon Slayer, Sword Art Online, My Hero Academia, and many more animes since her debut in 2011. again, if I had another month or so, I definitely would look into that. Let's see what else do we have here. Speaking of Crunchyroll, they may have violated the law.
Yeah, they may have violated ADA. I think this might be the article that you were talking
about. Yeah.
But yeah, for anybody who knows the tumbling and slow descent, decay even of Crunchyroll, at least to me, that's how it kind of appears. Major anime streaming service Crunchyroll has been accused of ostracizing and failing to respond to verbal abuse of an employee with a mental health diagnosis before later firing him from the company. A post from former Crunchyroll senior software editor Sean Hoffman detailed serious allegations regarding his treatment following his mental health struggles. Hoffman shared a LinkedIn that his shared on LinkedIn that his mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer, making 2024 the hardest year of his life. And that's understandable for anybody. After Hoffman shared his diagnosis of anxiety and major depressive disorder with the company, he alleged that instead of support, he received hostility and was met with ostracization, verbal abuse, and later termination. His statement can be read on LinkedIn or in this article. The Crunchyroll HR and leadership blamed for hostile working conditions and employee mistreatment. The statement went as follows. Sean Hoffman. How Crunchyroll treated me after my hardest year. I never imagined I'd be writing this post. I gave my all to Crunchyroll, working nights and weekends, driven by passion for the fans and the platform. Even while facing one of the most devastating challenges of my life, my mother's terminal cancer, I remained dedicated to my work. When the stress, depression, anxiety became overwhelming, I was diagnosed with anxiety and major depressive disorder and requested an ADA accommodation, a reasonable step that should have been met with understanding and support. Instead, I experienced hostility. A manager I didn't even report to cursed me out and made an extremely obscene gesture during a workplace conversation. I documented the incident and reported it to HR. Instead of taking corrective action, I noticed a shift in how I was treated. Subtle at first, then more overt. I raised my concerns about the workplace treatment, professionalism, and respect, and shortly after, Crunchyroll made the decision to terminate my employment, citing a policy violation. Per Hoffman's timeline, he approached Crunchyroll for an ADA accommodation, basically accommodations for employees with specific needs after his diagnosis. So he had medical notation about this from a doctor. At some point in the future, he was cursed out by a manager for an unstated reason and received an extremely obscene gesture during a workplace call. As shown above, this gesture was a middle finger in the documenting of his, obviously his quotes on his LinkedIn. He documented and reported the incident, but says no corrective action was taken, instead himself receiving the blowback, which was subtle at first, then more overt. After raising concerns about his treatment, Hoffman says, Crunchyroll made the decision to terminate my employment, citing a policy violation, and was allegedly offered severance in exchange for not going public with his treatment, which usually is a sign that the company wants you to shut up. CBR reached out to Crunchyroll for comments. This related to Sean's allegations, any investigation into whether proper protocols regarding his situation were followed, any review into whether current protocols were fit for purpose, and the investigation into the alleged manager's actions. However, as of writing, CBR has received no response, which is the article where we're reading the article from. Per Hoffman's LinkedIn, his contributions to the company included updates to Crunchyroll's video encoding, anti-piracy efforts, building Crunchyroll CDN, and involvement with the launch of Kaiju number 8 live stream and Dragon Ball Daima simulcast. 5 months ago, he thanked colleagues at Crunchyroll for their support during his mother's battle with cancer. He lays the blame for his subsequent treatment with HR and leadership. Hoffman's posts grew even more concerning following multiple recent allegations of hostile working conditions at Crunchyroll, which is the decay and decline I was speaking of earlier. Voice actor David Wald accused the company of going through his fan mail without his knowledge, which we've heard multiple cases of that, both on the American and Japanese side, and disposing and distributing of the contents amongst themselves. He announced that he would never work with the company again, leaving behind his role as Gajeel in the popular fairy tale anime series, which is another article that we covered in the podcast in Anime Jam Session. Crunchyroll announced that it was investigating in October, but not made its finding public as of February 8th of this year. Furthermore, a bombshell Bloomberg report that interviewed multiple Crunchyroll former and current staff found that company morale had fallen, citing execs who were out of touch and multiple rounds of layoffs. Some reports regarding tension post-Crunchyroll and Funimation, which was the merger that happened last year, appeared to have been backed up by recent comments from Crunchyroll vice president. She said, "We have been working hard to bridge the gap between two teams with similar but different philosophies and bring them together. Thanks to each member respecting our differences, understanding and executing their respective roles, we're finally able to start functioning as one team." Basically, Once they merged, things kind of went downhill. Crunchyroll's kind of on its out before, but then when they merged afterwards, it's just kind of gotten worse and worse. So this is not a surprise to me at all. I suspect that there's worse going on behind the scenes that we don't see, obviously, because if you see one, there's like 10 more behind the scenes that people are just not talking about because they don't want to have to deal with this. Obviously, if this is the condition of someone who is going through mental health issues, I can't imagine what the conditions are for anybody who has a different style of chronic illness, a physical disability, any other more like immediate needs or more applied needs, right? Because there's different levels of ADA accommodation. Yeah, it's just Crunchyroll's a dumpster fire. I feel sorry for all the employees.
As do I. It's not fair they have to go through all of that shit. And I will say, in a way, I'm kind of lucky at my job. I don't have to deal with that. There are proper protocols in place where you don't have to worry about getting shit canned or anything like that. So.
Yeah.
But
well, do you want to take us on to the next article?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it's kind of fucked up how you put a company will look down on you, write your well, you make one request. That's bullshit. Anyhow, speaking of more bullshit, which is considered piled higher and deeper, we are going to talk about Diamond Comics distribution. It seems that TPCI, the Pokemon Company International, or I think it's just a U.S. arm, they're claiming that Diamond Comic Distributors owe them money. And there's a picture of me. There's a picture. I'm picturing Pikachu in a tux with a derby and a cigar, talking about get rid of Diamond Comics. I want my money. Oh man! All right, so it seems that they have filed for reclamation claims for inventory delivered within 45 days of Diamond Comic Distributors declaring Chapter 11 bankruptcy. TPCI claims that Diamond owes them about a little bit over $500,000 of goods sold on credit. Diamond also owes a little bit over $280,000 to TPCI, one of its unsecured creditors. Wow. Diamond declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy back on January 14th. The company filed a voluntary petition for relief under Chapter 11 of the United States Bankruptcy Code in bankruptcy court in the District of Maryland. Companies who file under Chapter 11 are able to maintain business assets which may or may not include licenses in order to attempt to reorganize. Diamond cited that the decreased consumer activity, rising operating costs, and declining sales in the comic book industry post-COVID-19 led to its decision. Diamond has received a $39 million stalking horse bid, the initial bid on a bankrupt company assets from an affiliate of Universal Distribution of Alliance Game Distributors. Diamond signed a non-binding letter of intent with the same company to buy Diamond UK. Diamond is also actively pursuing offers and has received interest from buyers for its other business units, which includes Diamond Book Distributors, Collectible Grading Authority, Diamond Select Toys, and its main distribution lines. The company has received commitments for up to $41 million and debtor in possession financing from JP Morgan Chase. The company will use those funds for post-petitioning operating expenses and to ensure adequate working capital for its obligations. Diamond will continue to operate during this time. Orders will be continue to be processed as usual. The company plans to continue running Free Comic Book Day. Diamond's two largest unsecured creditors are Penguin Random House, a publishing company and distributor for other publishers, including manga ones such as Dark Horse and Bandai. Diamond owes these two companies $9.2 million and $4.3 million, respectively. They also owe money to Hasbro, Simon & Schuster, Bandai Toys and Collectibles, Viz Media, Titan Publishing Group, Squeenix, TPCI, and Udon Entertainment. There are more likely to be more links to Japan. Diamond recently filed bankruptcy petition only lists the top 30 unsecured creditors. Well, hopefully everyone gets what their merch that they want. Other than that, it's nothing more than a waiting game, especially when you have that much money that you got to deal with. Could not be me. Okay, we have one more story for tonight, and then we're going to get into meanwhile in Japan. This one's about Hideaki Anno. He's setting up an exhibition for the 50th anniversary of Yamato. So that's what we were hearing about earlier. That's what those little rumors and stuff that we were hearing. All right. Let her rip there, Barry.
Yeah. For those who have been with anime, guys, it's been a long time. Hideaki Anno produces Space Battleship Yamato's 50th anniversary exhibition in March of this year. Rare production materials will be exhibited, and as part of the 50th anniversary project for the TV anime Space Battle Yamato Star Blazers in the West, following the screening events from December 2024 to January 2025, a special exhibition titled Space Battleship Yamato Complete Record Exhibition is set to be held at the Seibu Shibuya department store in Tokyo for 17 days from March 15th to the 31st of this year. As with screening events, the exhibition is planned and produced by Hideaki Anno. From among the materials stored by the nonprofit organization Anime Tokusatsu Archive Corporation, ATAC, founded by Anno, rare production materials such as original key animations, drawings, and character mechanics design arts from the production period will be exhibited. A message from the organizer. Japan's anime began half a century ago with Space Battleship Yamato, which aired on October 6, 1974. If I had not encountered the epoch-making work Space Battleship Yamato at that time, I would not be where I am today. As an expression of gratitude, respect, and repayment for the tremendous influence Yamato had on my life, I would like to bequeath as much of the existing materials on Space Battleship Yamato as possible to future generations, and hope that more people will seek, know, remember, and be moved by it in the form of a complete record exhibition, and share it wildly with the world. We would like to start from Shibuya, Tokyo in March. Thank you very much for your support. It looks like they will be having a lot of keyframes, art, and other things in the exhibition, so if you're a big fan of the series, you should definitely check it out. In addition to paper materials, the history of Space Battleship Yamato from the first Yamato in 1974 to the remake series currently being shown and presented in a large chronological display, analog records, and nostalgic items from those days, as well as a model of the giant Yamato ship will be on display. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, a number of original merchandise exclusives to the venue will be on sale. Additionally, a collaboration cafe with 365 Cafe on the 4th floor of the store will be held, offering special inspired menus, drinks, and dishes based on famous scenes. Yeah.
I'm not really a Yamato fan, but I know of the series. Maybe I should. Well, maybe if I find free time, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, if you find free time, I think it's one of those series that's a very big classic piece.
Yes, it
it's
is.
Definitely of its time. Like the animation style and things like that is very period to when it was produced. But I think for its time, it aged pretty well aesthetically. Like the style of animation and stuff, I think carried pretty well. And I think generally it's nice to see that there is still a lot of respect and care taken to a lot of the older series of stuff. So I'm excited. I hope that there's a lot more stuff published about it. I'm not a huge otaku of Yamato myself, but I know of its its kind of space in animation and how it led the way for a lot of other styles and series and things like that.
Everyone's gonna get their start from somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's it. All right. So now we'll come to the part of the show that y'all really like to stick around for. Meanwhile, in Japan. Oh, Barry, I wish you were with us last week.
I'm gonna look and see what was last week. I'm gonna poke my eyes over there.
Poke and look.
Yes, I see. I like it. It looks good.
Yes, that article that would have tickled your fancy.
Definitely.
But since it's Barry's choice. You get to pick which article you want to talk about.
I'll take the third one. I'll take the third article.
Okay. I will take the first one since I'm trying to go there during my trip in Japan. You have to enter the raffle, and if you win the raffle, you can purchase tickets. I already entered the raffle, and I'll find out the beginning of March. And if you're wondering what this is, I'm talking about the Nintendo Museum. It seems that if you went to the Nintendo Museum, they might owe you money for overcharging.
Woof.
Oh. Which one is it? There we go. I completely forgot which one that is. Alright. There we go. So, anyhow, the biggest draws of the Nintendo Museum in Kyoto are the massive displays of games, hardware, and toys chronicling the company's history, and the gigantically upsized controllers on which you play through classic Nintendo games as a team with a friend. But no visit to the museum is complete without stopping by its gift shop, appropriately named Bonus Stage. Bonus Stage has all sorts of memorabilia, from t-shirts to controller-shaped cushions to glassware and gotcha trinkets. But if you paid a visit to the Nintendo Museum and paid Bonus Stage for any of the 3 specific items, it turns out they actually need to pay you back. On February 6th, the Nintendo Museum posted a partial refund announcement on its official website for customers who purchase either the Nintendo Museum cookie set, the Hikonoki Pull 'em Out Pikmin cookie set, or the Animal Crossing New Horizons Pulveron cookie set as a result of shoppers being unintentionally overcharged at the Bonus Stage register. There were no photos included in the announcements, but they did post pictures. But someone did post pictures and is on their official. Someone on the Twitter posted pictures of what they are, and Nintendo made the announcement about it. If you're one. The announcement makes no mention of specific purchase dates as far as refund eligibility goes, implying that the overcharging may have going on ever since the Nintendo Museum opened all the way back on October 2nd of last year. If you're wondering how something like this goes on for 4 months plus before anyone notices it, it's because the overcharges aren't individually large, which is 30 yen, which is 20 cents or less per item, and also because of a quirk in how Japanese sales tax works. For almost all consumer products in Japan, there's a 10% sales tax. However, up until a few years ago, sales tax was only 5%, and doubling the tax predictably not a popular move amongst the general Japanese public. So politicians decided to throw them a bone and said, okay, sales tax is going to be 10%, but it'll only be 8% when buying food, since that is an essential purchase. Not all food and beverages qualify for this 2% tax break. Alcoholic beverages were deemed non-essential enough that they always carry a 10% tax, and restaurant dining was also judged enough of a luxury that it's associated with food and drinks are 10% too. Groceries, though, get the lower percent 8% tax, and so do takeout orders, which is why convenience store clerks in Japan with an eat-in corner will ask if you plan to use it while they're ringing up your purchase. With that in mind, it's pretty easy to see what went wrong at the Nintendo Museum. Shoppers who went to the Nintendo Museum who bought the cookie set were charged 1,650 yen, but according to the statement, it should have been they've been eligible to pay 1,620 yen. But a Hikonoki Pikmin cookies, shoppers were charged 1,100 yen when the correct amount should have been 1,080. And for the Animal Crossing New Horizons Pulveron set, purchasers paid 1,485 yen, but it should have been 1,458. Crunching the numbers, all of those figures align with Bonus Stage sticking a 10% sales tax on top of the item's base price when they really should have charged only 8%. It is an understandable mistake, seeing how in the case of the Nintendo Museum and Animal Crossing cookie sets, odds are people were buying them as much for their decorative reusable tins as they were the cookies inside. And for the box the Pikmin cookies came in, it's pretty slick looking too. However, the 3 products are still legally classified as food, and so they should only be taxed at 8%, not the 10% they would be if you were buying the tins boxes by themselves, or if you were buying the cookies to eat on site. Again, at 30 yen or less per item, it's not like any shoppers are put in financial hardship by the mistake. Still, if someone bought a large quantity, possibly to give to friends as souvenirs, it becomes more considerable chunk of change. Just as important as the macro scale implication at bonus stage, as a result of many, many customers that have come through since the museum's opening, has collected a large in total amount of money that it shouldn't have. So while there was probably some travelers who bought just one tin of cookies and said, for 20 or 30 yen, I'm not going to bother, Nintendo and Nomura Medias, the tenant company that manages bonus stage, have apologized and recognized their responsibility to properly settle the accounts. And those of you applying for refunds can do so using the bilingual English-Japanese form on the Nintendo Museum website. That was cool. That was nice of them. And unfortunately, the website is still in Japanese. I didn't see anything, no button for bilingual or changing the language. Whoops. Anywho, Barry, what story would you like to cover tonight?
Well, since I've been to the Fushimi Inari Taisha, I figured I'd cover that one.
Go for it.
I'm sure you guys have heard. Obviously, the yen is a little bit lower than the dollar right now, like pretty significantly. But also, it's lower than quite a few other finances in other countries. So it's become quite a pinnacle of tourism and travel. To a detriment in a lot of places, unfortunately. People have lost their, as you humans might say, have lost their damn minds. And in this case, tourists in Kyoto caused chaos at railway crossing near the Fushimi Inari Taisha. Over-tourism leads to frightening scene at a busy train crossing. Kyoto has long been feeling the strains of over-tourism, which not only places a burden on tourist sites, but also local residents who find it difficult to go about their daily lives, which, if you're a tourist in another country, be aware that there are people that actually live there. Don't be a dick. This struggle was clearly evident at the Fushimi Inari Taisha last week when a dangerous situation arose at a railway crossing. On the 26th of January this year, a large group of tourists were making their way over the crossing when an alarm began to sound, indicating the imminent arrival of an oncoming train. And if anyone has ever seen Japanese trains, they like to arrive in a timely manner and they're fast. So if you're in the pathing, yeah, all bets are off. When the alarm rings out at a Japanese railway crossing such as this one, the poles lower automatically to prevent people from entering the crossing. But on this particular day, tourists ignored all the warning signs, continued over the tracks as the poles jostled around their heads. What? With no sound of the crowd abating, the emergency button was pressed, alerting the driver of the oncoming train who stopped the vehicle. As a result, the train was delayed roughly 20 minutes. Damn. That's a lot. That's actually a lot. That's actually a lot, chat. It is. Thankfully, the quick thinking actions of whoever pressed the emergency button helped to prevent a major incident. But according to the local residents and shopkeepers, overcrowding at this site isn't an anomaly, with tourists impeding the proper functioning of the crossing numerous times every week. Kyoto City employs security guards to help control crowds here at busy times such as New Year's and Sakura cherry blossom season, but there are no guards here overseeing the site at this time of year. This is proving to be problematic, though. As the end of January and early February coincides with Chinese New Year holiday period, when Japan sees a large uptick of Chinese tourists, the reports say the voices in the crowd at the railway crossing were heard to be Chinese. Although I will say there is a bit of racism, so that might also have been, depending upon who was reporting it, them trying to blame certain tourists. But this site becomes incredibly congested as it's located at the start of the approach to the shrine, which has history stretching back to more than 1,300 years. According to the reports, the congestion that occurred here on the 26th was particularly bad as it wasn't just one group, but two groups trying to cross each from either side at the same time. Rather than stick to one side of the street, tourists on both sides walked freely across, bumping into each other as they did so, causing confusion that made it nearly impossible to safely cross over to the other side. It's not just people making their way over the tracks here, as regular vehicles also share the narrow road, so when crowds like this gather, it becomes difficult for cars to cross, as evidenced in the above report, where a taxi could be seen making it to the other side of the crossing before the pole came down on the boot of the vehicle. With problems occurring at the railway crossing several times a week, this is an issue that clearly needs to be addressed. While some might argue that Kyoto City should employ security guards at the site full time, with so many popular tourist sites scattered around the area, there's only so much the city can do. Perhaps a more feasible solution to the problem would be to post signs at the crossing to indicate which side of the road pedestrians should stand on and to prevent foot traffic from colliding with each other. However, walking 2 or 3 abreast might result in large groups being split in two, and with wait times at the crossing being roughly 7 minutes, this could only exacerbate the problem. Perhaps an open discussion between the city, the railway operators, and tour guides would be the most effective solution. Clear communications between all parties could result in tour groups being better equipped to time their crossing to avoid passing trains, leading to a happy compromise for everyone involved. I kind of agree. I think that all of those parties really do need to communicate, especially when it's coming to tourism. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I feel like people who are going to another country, and this is something that I think I expressed multiple times because I've been to Japan twice in my life at this point.
Yeah.
Be aware of the practices and culture of where you're going. And again, don't be a dick. Like just don't.
See, that's why when I was in Japan, I barely listened to my headphones when I was traveling on the rails. I think the
Mm.
only time I did was when I was on the Shinkansen and I could
Mhm.
see the sign of the stops. I think. I'm not saying I did, but I think. But because I was on the regular subways, I didn't listen to my headphones at all. I was more focused on being aware of my surroundings and traveling. And it actually felt good just to sit there and just see the signs in different languages, hear the announcements in different languages as I traveled along. That was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I think that is it. I think we are
Yeah.
done. We did run a little over, but that's par for the course because Barry's
They're
only
pretty
here.
far, yep.
Yeah, Barry's only here once a week, so once a month. So we gotta play a little bit of catch up. So you know.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and cue this up. So, if you like tonight's show, tell a friend. They in turn will tell another friend, and so on and so forth. We're independent bloggers, independent podcasters. What we like and don't like, we're going to tell you what's up and what's going on. So, if you have any questions about the show, drop us a line. Email at podcast@animejamsession.com. Again, that is podcast@animejamsession.com. We're here to believe you. Don't forget to follow our podcast on various sites such as Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any app that you use for downloading podcasts. Check out, sub to us, check out some older episodes, leave a review if you can. We really appreciate all the little stuff like that. Don't forget to check out our website at animejamsession.com, where you'll not just find our weekly podcast, you'll find anime reviews, editorials, cosplay tips and tricks, cosplay interviews. You'll find links to our YouTube and Facebook pages of cosplay convention coverage and a whole lot more at animejamsession.com. Check it out. And don't forget to follow us on our socials. Anime Jam Session on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Blue Sky. Follow us on those so you know when we're going live, when we have new stories, and other cool stuff to share with you all. And for all of y'all who follow us on our socials, thank you so much. We really couldn't do any of this without you. You guys are simply awesome. We really appreciate that. That's nice. I reached a 7-stream watch streak. That's cool. I like that. Anywho, let's see what else we have here. Our tip jar. If you are watching with us live right now, if you scroll down the page just a bit, you'll see links to our Stream Elements, Streamlabs, and our Ko-Fi pages. Links. If you want to throw us a few dollars, we'd appreciate that. If you want, you can cheer us on in the chat room with bits, or you can sub to the channel and give out gift subs. Every little bit counts. So now, we're going to go around the room. Last words, Barry.
Well, I will be hopping back into Hello Kitty's excitement,
Island
and
adventure,
and fun. And then on Friday we have a little Valentine's Day, a little date with a friend, Weebus, and we're gonna be doing some VR streaming. So I hope you guys tune in for that on my channel.
Awesome. All right, let's see. My last words. I think I'm going to catch up with NCIS and enjoy my last bag of chips and an ocean bomb flavored water and call it a night. Well, that is it. End of list. We're getting up on out of here. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, Mako is feeling better. Ari will be able to come join us. We'll have the whole gang back. Will you be back? We hope you do. So, we're going to get up on out of here and call it. So, I'm Ranma.
And I'm Barry Mellon.
Great fight, great night. See you next week.
We'll see you soon, dreamers.
Say goodnight, Barry.
Good night, Barry.
Perfect. Awesome. We're out of here. See you all next week. Oh, let's see. Perfect.